Good afternoon, everybody. This is Dr. Rao. I'm here to talk about what popped up in my discussions with some things about unconditional love, you know. And I was quoting a couple of people that I happened to study and showed a way of that, right? So they were kind of, they would not say, I love you directly, but in their presence you feel that they are full of love. How come? Okay, that's what I was working on, a new book I started. What it is they were so inward oriented about themselves in their life, they kind of identified the separating ego force or personality, what we call like a, we build up that conditioning, right? They got rid of that, and they are one with everything, and they are really feel that oneness of everybody, and they don't have any uh, dividers, let's say, so uh, is that possible? Is that possible for everybody? That's the question I was exploring. So some practical things we could do is, we could first of all see whether we can look inward ourselves. And if we can look inward ourselves, can we see that we're egotistical, we are limited, we are kind of don't have time for anybody else except ourselves, or we are more joy in giving and really considering other people because we ourselves are full of the cup. So that's what happened to them. They were more like a, uh, you know, uh, really overcame all the barriers within themselves. So they were completely open to other people's needs, and other people can really stop there like a oasis, right? And drink in that love and go out of it. So that's what I'm focusing on in this book about. Usually, people think they are okay if they have associated everything with the condition, but underlying all that, you um, could see really people uh, are always begging for love, right? And they don't realize that. But if you are having a lot of stuff with you, what is the need to beg? You have only to give because you have so much abundance within you. That is what the inner oriented awareness brings out, that we are really have a lot of abundance. Take our moms, take our wives, take any, they are full of abundant love. At least in my case, that was the case. My mom was completely heartful person, and my wife is also like that. Okay, so I'm fortunate, probably. But then, if I just take all that they are giving, or looking only for that, then I will not be able to tap into my own inner resource of unconditional love. And so I had to work on myself. I have to get rid of my pride, my ego, my sense of my me first. That should be away first. So, what is that entity that makes us feel like I need it, I have to get it, and I have a right to get it, and all that? Okay. So, it's a very, very subtle thing, but very, very important thing for us to understand that we have a self within that could be separating, or we have a higher self that is all inclusive, right? I think moms for their children, at least, they have complete love, complete unconditional love, right? I think that's a real force that keeps our life going, right? Moms feel that the children are part of her, and however big they have become, they want to really give that love unconditionally, right? No matter who you are, they have the love for you, right? So that's the kind of thing the sages acquired by really turning inward and paying attention to it. And so in this book, there will be two different things. One is what is this that they have undergone that made these sages. I took two sages, Jiddu Krishnamurti and Ramana Maharshi. Right? Those people I know their works, I know how they were, I know how they have done. There are so many other people in the spiritual world that have this, even ordinary people, right? Or these people happen to be very famous because of the things that came out from others and all that, And I kind of learned a lot to navigate in my own life with these two sages. Okay, but not necessarily only two. There are so many people around us, right? In all traditions, in all ages, in all times, people have were there. Okay, so the mechanism is seem to me is the same. You see, we don't want to turn inward and identify something, want to change right away, right? It takes a long time before we can realize, okay, this is what I am. I'm a proud person, or I'm a arrogant person, I'm an angry person. We don't realize them unless life comes and teaches us, or somebody points out and all that. But especially tapping the inner source of abundance of love and peace. That is something ancient wisdom talked about quite a bit. That's what I rave about all the time, because it's not in outward things, it's not out there, but it's in our own inner heart. We have this Shanti rasa. That means the feeling of abundant peace, peace itself, and this unconditional love that is there too, contentment, happiness, joy that is there. Okay, you can get it all only by really understanding our inner core of our essence. Our body is not our essence. Our mind is not our essence. Our thoughts are not our essence, because they are all changing continuously, fleeting, right? They are never the stable. But that inner essence is always there from the childhood to through the old age, and also when we pass on, it will be there. But we identify with the I thought, the first thought, and then we identify with the body. Okay, but that's not it. So once you can calm that mind down and see your inner essence, that is unconditional love and peace. So I'm starting to write that book. I don't know how much time it will take, but there's a lot there. I just started with two things I can really identify. One is, how is this mechanism of going inward and doing all that? Briefly, we have our senses always going out. That is their function, to go out and get the sights, get the hearing, all that, right? And we have this intellect that's also always going on. Okay, we may solve problems outwardly, and we can make our life comfortable, easy, and all that. That's where the technology comes. But it's very difficult to probe a technological tool and measure how we feel, how we experience. Okay, you can have a measurement about the effect of the experience, but actual experience, to feel it, you need your intuition. Don't think, feel, really recognize that. Then that is the intuition works for you. Inward, first of all, observation, then you could feel what is right and then go that way. So that's the first part of the book. And the second part of the book is, what are the practical ways for a modern man like me, a physician or an accountant or a computer person, anybody, right? What is the modern practical things that we could do daily that can lead us to that? It's not guaranteed that you will get it, but then it's a very difficult thing. But maybe people want to try it out. Don't have to convert to any religion, don't have to really believe anything. This is about questioning and learning, and through knowledge of our inner self, we can transform ourselves to something like a stabilized peace and also unconditional love. Okay. That's the project going on, and I thought I will just share a little bit about that. And as the thing is complete, I don't know when it is going to be. I work on these things with my energy wherever it takes me. Sometimes I finish it off in a few days, sometimes in a few weeks. So if anybody wants to talk about unconditional love or Shanti Rasa, which I was talking about. Shanti means peace. Rasa means that essence of peace that is inside us. You are welcome to come up, ask me questions, or tell me what you think about this. Is this something crazy or nonsense, or is something makes sense? Uh, I am very happy about the whole subject because that's something about once you taste that unconditional love through our moms, through our wives, through our sisters and brothers, through our friends, all that, we always enjoy that. I have never seen anybody receiving unconditional love saying, I don't like it, I don't want it. I have not seen it. Maybe there are people there. But many people really long for it. And once they respond to it. I remember the people who came to my house, they were hugged by my wife, or my mother especially. She was hugging everybody with completely open arms, with a bright smile, and no matter what reason they came from, okay, and they fell for that. When she come to New York and stayed with me there in Chicago, New York, when she came, she met so many friends. And when she passed away here in US, she was in Tennessee with my sister at the time. When she passed away, so many people came from that town. We were surprised because whoever they came, they got the same loving treatment. Not expecting anything, but just giving the pure love. Okay, uh, don't know who it is or what they are, and just hug them and greet them with a broad smile. And lots of times she doesn't know English, but then she kind of talked in sign language, and then she loved to feed people. She loved to give them things that they will enjoy, like drinks or the food or whatever, right? And that everybody remembered that. So they all came, and I don't know any of them because I live in Iowa, and my sister lived uh, in Tennessee, and my mom was staying there for a while. And then when she passed out, okay, she passed at the age of 88. She passed very peacefully and all that. But for her funeral, so many people came, right? So I was very happy to see that she made instant friends. Why? See, no transaction, nothing. Just dealing people, just people, and greet them with love and big hug and big smile. Okay, that was very influential on me because I was raised by a heartful mother, and to be a heartful person, right? So I always valued that kind of friendship. I have one friend that is at that time he was very heartful with me, and I was very heartful with him. We remained friends even though our careers. Uh, I went to a doctor. He went to be chartered accountant and all, but we never lost that touch. Okay? I made a lot of friends in the medicine and other fields, but then he remained very friend to this day. Even though he lives in India, I get in touch with him, and then whenever I talk to him, it is at the same level of friendship. Okay, very loving, very heartful, no expectation of anything, but just enjoy the company even for a few hours. We spend some time. When I go to India, I definitely go and visit him, or he comes to visit me. So it's a treat to have some relationship like that, right? So there is value. Let me see, somebody wants to come up. That's good. Ruth. Okay. Hi, Ruth. How are you?
good. And I'm enjoying listening to your stories about your mother and the friends
Yeah,
and the conditional love.
yeah,
And I realized that it's part of the journey.
yeah,
Some people never get there.
yeah,
And I think many of us hope to. And I think some of us work to get there.
yeah, yeah.
Because
That's
I
true.
have people who tell me, well, you're just so nice.
Yeah.
I don't try to be nice. It's just
Yeah,
once I think your mother may have gone through some things.
yeah,
Life may not have been easy for her at the beginning.
yeah. No, she was married to a chief engineer in cement factory. She was filthy rich in the beginning. But after my father died, she became kind of middle class and all that. But then we came up, she was again have the same riches. But that didn't matter to her. Yeah, go
No,
ahead.
but what I'm saying is, I think becoming somebody who loves unconditionally
Yeah,
is part of the process of becoming an adult or
yeah,
coming. It's part of the process.
that's true. That's true.
I
Yeah,
don't think you wake up
yeah,
at 3 and you are amazing and understand unconditional love.
exactly.
I think it comes through
So
as we
true.
get older.
Yeah, I agree with you, Ruth, totally, because that's why this book has some practical suggestions of how to work on some aspects of them. Maybe we cannot guarantee success for everybody, but at least they can understand, okay, there is something inside me that I can touch. Maybe these are things I can try. That's the effort.
Right. It
Yeah,
is effort, but I also think it's something
yeah, yeah,
that happens. I think it's
yeah,
part of it is either or it becomes part of personality.
yeah. Also,
And
the surroundings are important. In a war torn like Gaza, if you go there, we have this opportunity to be like that. So many
right.
factors are there. We in the United States enjoy a lot of opulence and a lot of conveniences and all that. At least we could calm down and say attention what's going on within me. But other people may not have the opportunity. Yeah, you're right.
And like I said, some of it I think I know it doesn't, but some of it should be coming with life.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think as we watch life and we grow and we get older, it
Hmm.
is easier to love people unconditionally because you understand what matters or more and what doesn't.
Yeah. One of the things about the ancient times was it's not about how we live or what we make or livelihood and all that. That was taken for granted, eating food and shelter and all that. But then what you understand about life going inward is more important. That kind of emphasis on the culture also is important. And unfortunately, modern times we concentrate more on the external things rather than internal things. That's why I try to bring people the attention of being inwardly aware what's going on with them. Doesn't have to compare yourself. Doesn't have to be people have to approve or anything, but it's a kind of regular practices that can give you an idea, not according to a concept, but according to who you really are, as you are. Yeah, Ruth brought a good point. It's a process. It's not like a spontaneous thing. It's a process of learning about ourselves first. That is the conditioning, if it is there, and then unlearning that conditioning, and then we discover what is already there. But most of the people don't want to agree that they are conditioned. Then they say, oh, you are conditioning means according to you I have to be like this. It's not that. Suppose you take an emotional thing, for example, you are angry with your husband, you know and then you kind of allow it to grow, and then that replaces the love you have for him, and then that is a waste of emotion, waste of lot of energy and all that, also waste of joyful time we could otherwise spend together. So that's where inward orientation, awareness of inward abundance, that's very important. I think that's the attempt of this book, and let's see how it goes. Okay. So thanks, Ruth. Thanks for coming and giving that perspective for us. Absolutely, it's a process. It takes a long time for everybody. So that is that. Anybody else wants to come up and add to what we were talking about? Please come up. I'm in a good mood to talk about these things today. So you can come and ask me any question that you have. Okay. So I'll be happy to engage with you and listen to what you have to say. You know. But this is something, one incident I remember because this book I wrote about two sages, right? One is Jiddu Krishnamurti, other one is Ramana Maharshi. Jiddu Krishnamurti was in Delhi at one time, and this writer who wrote his biography, she was meeting him as a young woman. She was a woman's liberator, and she was very argumentative about women's rights and all that. But she was always looking for love. Okay, and then she was not getting it. But then she wanted to accompany her aunt with to Krishnamurti, and she came there. He was sitting down with everybody else, and they were talking about things. So he was giving some lecture or something, and then she said, "Oh, he's going to give the same old thing, follow the." And he was not. He was saying, "Dump all the ancient everything, but then think for yourself." So he said something about a statement where, why do many people go begging for love? It could be begging love. Young people or old people are demanding love, are expecting love, are really begging for love. That's what he put it. She was shocked by that, and she woke up and stood up. And then, in the sense, she was aware, alert, and then she became alert in her mind. And then she looked at herself, and it was true that she's always begging for love in her relationships, and when she is not getting it, she is getting betrayed or all that. Then the thing was, if you are full of love, if you are having the cup full of love, why do you have to beg for that? That's the premise on which this book is going to be. So how to be identifying or recognize that abundance of love within us. Okay, so that incident is something I remember very well. And after that, she became a very keen observer of him and studied his philosophy and did a big book on him, his entire life. But other people also wrote books on his life history, which I read. But then one particular book, probably very instructive people would be um, commentaries on living. Commentaries on living. There were three editions. The number third edition, particularly, what happens there is he traveled around the world for 60 some years, and he met, emperors or kings or presidents, CEOs, and also ordinary folk, teachers, students, young people, old people, all that. And he brings a situation, and then he talks about what happened. So a woman comes, and then she is having four sons. They all grew up, they all are educated, they're making good living and all that. And she comes and asks him, I know they're doing well in life, but there is no greatness in him. They're living a life that is ordinary, that is going on, but then they don't have any greatness. If life throws some stuff, they can't withstand really. So then he talks about how our education is, how our orientation only towards making a living, but not about getting an integrated person and that kind of thing. Okay, so it goes on like so maybe 100 talks are there, but each one has about education, about meditation, about oh, there was one very particular thing I liked was this woman was deep depression. She was going to her therapist and taking medications and all that. And she comes to Krishnamurti, and uh, he takes she is in the crowd of 5,000, so he was not addressing her. But then what he made a comment about how we can really turn the throttle, so something like that. And suddenly she felt complete relief for her depression. you know And then she went to her therapist, and he was surprised to see that spontaneous resolution of the complete depression. And then the therapist is puzzled, and he comes to Krishnamurti and says, "What happened with my patient is this: when she was listening to your talk, what happened?" Then Krishnamurti talks about depression in society and all that, and he asks a fundamental question, which we can apply all the physicians: is are you addressing the root causes of depression, or are you just putting some band-aid and sending them back to same conditions that produce the depression to begin with? That means societal culture, societal understanding, societal structure is causing this depression, and we are giving some pills or some therapy and fixing the problem at the symptom level, band-aid, and then sending them back. This applies to the chronic diseases too. That's why I always go for the proactive wellness, right? So that's important to understand. Okay, in psychological field, much more so. Okay, so that psychologist got a real transformation in his care after that. Okay, so that kind of stories I remember about his work. I studied his work since 1985, right? It's still going on, ongoing. Ramana Maharshi recently, probably 2008 or something, I started to read him. But both these gentlemen were India. I never met them. I was only introduced through the books, through the talks and all that. But then once you understand what kind of thinking they are going in, and then you also embark in your own adventure of investigating your own understanding, investigating your own, truths and all that. That's a very adventurous thing because we find some things that we never anticipate, and then you come out of that really fully charged, fully equipped with the power, right? Not the power of other people, so not that. It's more like your own inner opening of understanding. Okay. All right. So I just introduced you to my book that's coming up, and nobody has questions on unconditional love, you could come and talk to me about it. I'm sure everybody's has some concept or some idea or some experience of it. You see, when you don't have heartful people, and when you have only clever people, or people amassing power to manipulate other people, to control other people, that's the problem we have in the world now, right? So that's why understanding this and then living it, I think, is very important in the turmoil of the world that we are going through. You find the peace and the love within. I think that's a gold mine, right? Okay. All right, with that, I will end here. If nobody's coming up, I don't want to go on saying the same things again and again. Okay, I will see you again in some rooms. Thank you very much. Bye.